So, I think outside reading is important because it encourages you to like do bigger things in life and wanna like experience more in doing things and like trying to find a future, because when you read up on what you want to do in life, it makes you more excited to like finish and exceed.
I think that outside reading is important and significant to gaining knowledge and information because you never know what you can stumble upon when you're reading a book or maybe in, so yeah.
And also you find the vocabulary in
Shana,
a book.
can you elaborate on how it sees, like you see the future, like whatever it helps in life? Because there's some books that are based on fantasy, so.
Okay. So I didn't mean it like that. I meant like, let's say you want to be a cook. You're gonna read up on culinary school and like, how to cook. If you want to be a writer, then you'll read up on fantasies and stuff like that. Not necessarily saying reading about fantasies and want to be a cook.
Yeah, I feel like it's different reasons why people read. Like, not all the time, like, people read, but like, because they have to. Like, Charlie.
I agree with you too. Reading is important, but like while it is important, I don't really do it outside of school. That's just like my personal opinion. So I refute the assertion made in the article because like that's just who I am. I don't really read outside of school. I find it like a burden. And while like it does help you, it does like prepare you for the future. It's like you can kind of compare it to like people who smoke. Like they know it's bad for them. They know it causes cancer, but they do it anyways. Like it's just habits you can't break. That's just it.
So, I'm sorry, so not reading is like smoking? Okay.
Kind of agree
Yeah, I
with
kinda
you to a
see.
certain extent, but like, I guess it just depends on the type of reading you're talking about. We're talking about hardcore books, like a whole novel. I'm not gonna read a novel outside of school. I'll tell you that now. I'm not gonna do it. But if it's like a quick, short, sweet, to the point article, even if it's like a news article, and I don't even want to read it. It has a picture. It's gonna catch my attention and look good. So I don't know. I guess it just.
Like, I don't like the fact that teachers tell me when to read. Like, why you gotta tell me when to read? What if I don't feel like reading that night? And that's it. Like, that's what I don't like.
I think at this age, I've learned that if it's not something I'm interested in or it's not something that I want to read, I won't do it. Like, if I find an article that pops up on my newsfeed or like I get a notification from New York Times and it's something interesting, I'm like, oh, I want to read this, then I'll read it. But if it's something that's just like information being thrown at me, it's not interesting and it doesn't really like grab my attention to the point where I want to keep on reading.
I feel like if I'm reading something, I have to look it up myself. Like I have to do the research and looking for it, because if I see like an article, I won't read it still. Like if it doesn't have nothing to do with what I'm interested in. If it's like about maybe like what's going on in like society, that maybe. But I don't really like, if I don't look it up or like go to like Barnes and Nobles or the library myself and find the book that I like, that I just won't read.
I agree, but I refute the article a little, but I'm also kind of in the middle because like what they're saying, they kind of have a point because like outside reading is important because then you learn like different points of views and like if you was like to read a fantasy like Sarah mentioned, like you could get like you can enhance like your creativity, like you could like learn different things. So like that would be important for college.
I kind of agree with what Sade said. Like, for me, I don't really want to read a book unless I'm interested in it. But then again, you can't really judge a book just by its cover. Because, like, over the summer, I had to read this big novel. And I forgot what the title was, but it was, like, extremely complicated. You know, the vocabulary was complicated. But as I got deeper into the book, I began to, like, really like it. And then I found out that reading is really relaxing for me. It sort of is like an escape from reality, I guess you can say. Like, you can put yourself into the book and relate to some of the characters and everything. So that's why I agree with her last statement in the article.
I agree with Sade and I also agree with Charlie because I feel like outside reading is like something that is voluntary. Like, you're gonna want to read something that you're interested in, not something that's like mandatory or not in your interest.
And I feel like if you don't want to read, like, you know how they saying that reading can enhance your vocabulary, but I feel like if you're not interested in the book and what you're reading, then like you're not gonna learn nothing because like you're not interested in it, and you're not gonna, like, if you see a word and like you like you and it, I don't know how to explain it. If you see a sentence, you like the sentence, but it's a word in there that you don't understand, you're gonna want to look the word up because you're gonna want to get the full understanding of what they're trying to say. But if you're not interested in it, then you're not gonna take the time to do that.
Like, I have a book.
That's a good point.
I did this like for like learning new vocabulary. I was reading a book and I had wrote every hard word in a notebook, and I looked up every single one of the words because I didn't want to be confused. And I would read a chapter at a time and find the hard word, like 4 or 5. Then I would read the chapter again, knowing what the words meant. Like, it helped me a little bit because I just don't like reading. I feel like I don't have time.
Has anyone heard heard the quote that reading is to the brain what exercise is to the body? What do you think that means? How does that connect to some of the things you're saying?
Because it challenges your brain to learn new things.
But is exercise hard to do? Does it, like, some people don't exercise at all. Like, I haven't been at the gym in like months, and it's in my building. Like, I just have to go downstairs. But it's when you compare reading to exercise and think about the habits that you have to build and the routines you have to build when you are athletic, someone is making a comparison there and saying that those routines are similar if you want a habit of reading. Thoughts?
I mean, I guess it's just if you're willing to do it, you're gonna do it. So it's like if you want to lose weight, you're gonna make yourself gain the habit of going to the gym, eating right, or whatever it is you need to do. But it's also like that it's like a fact. A human can bite their finger off, but their brain is telling them not to. Like, you can read anything you want to, but you just don't want to because your brain is telling you that it's boring. So it's not like you can't do it. It's just you just don't want to. So it's not you're not gonna force yourself to do something you don't want to do. It's no benefit.
So how do people who've exercisers in here, what do you do when you're like have to talk yourself into going and working out?
That's what you want to do, so you just go do it.
But do you really want to do it the first week, month of the process?
If I'm fat and like unhealthy, I'm gonna force myself. Like, I told myself that I was gonna go to Planet Fitness because I've been working at McDonald's like for the past month, and every single day I've been eating McDonald's, and I just felt like I was gaining weight. So I was like, I'm gonna go to Planet Fitness and I'm gonna work out. Then my mom's talking about getting a membership. She still didn't get the membership. She still didn't go. So now I'm just waiting for her.
It's interesting. These things that are, I'm hearing you talk about health and the things that are tied to our physical health. And we have to keep in mind that our mental health is really important too. And we read in this article the assertion about reading being relaxing, and if it possibly could be, and if it hasn't been that for us, maybe we haven't given it that chance. Pushing you to the above and beyond quote and questions. Can someone from the group read this quote for us? Daquan?
At every stage in the progress of his tale, the novelist must rely on what may be called the illuminating incident to reveal and emphasize the inner meaning of each situation. Illuminating incidents are the magic casements of fiction, its vista on infinity.
So this quote applies, according to this author, to fiction.
Yeah, I was reading that last night.
Mm-hmm. So, interpret the quote, explain an illuminating incident from a summer reading book or any book at this point. But according to this author, the book has to be fiction. I've read some nonfiction in the memoir category, so it's literary nonfiction that you could easily apply this idea of an illuminating moment to a memoir. But let's back up. Who wants to put this in your own words? It can be simplified way down. Trust yourself.
What does illuminating mean?
Illuminating.
Oh, I know.
I'm going to demonstrate. Daquan?
It means like writing something up or something like that.
I'm illuminating the room now because I need more light for the camera anyway. But exactly. So if I'm illuminating the room, I'm bringing light to it. If you're talking about an illuminating incident in a story.
So basically, like a fiction story is fake, but you're thinking about it as if it's true and making it more bright and like make it more realistic, kind of.
What do you think?
What it's trying to say is that throughout the whole story, it's shedding light on the more important plots, and in the plots you're gonna find the meaning that'll affect reality. Like you can interpret it and apply it to your life.
And it's like real life meaning, like something that you can still apply to real life, not just the book.
Even in like fantasy.
Can you cut what I said up?
You got us started. You rolled it in. I don't know how to edit things, so think of a book you've read. This is going to be like the last comment. Think of a book you've read, and that illuminating incident, that moment where you've been reading, and then it's like, whoa, that just unpacked everything. That just made this book make sense to my life or everybody's life. What was that moment? What was the book?
Well, it wasn't a book. It was a movie.
All right, we can use a movie as an example. Don't write about the movie in your essay,
Right.
but
I think it's called Lovely Bones, right?
yeah, that's based on a book.
Yeah. So when the girl, I didn't understand how she died in the beginning because it basically was just saying she died in December or whatever, and it was just like the beginning was basically like telling how her life was without, like how her family was without her, and then they started to explain how she died and how, and then like in the middle of the book when they really explained and gave like what really happened, I was like, oh,
That was the illuminating moment. Great example. Who has seen that movie and can relate? Who's read the book and can?
What is it called?
It's a great one.
What's it called?
Lovely Bones. All right.
Is some movie called Paid in Full?
Which one?
Paid in Full.
Do you have another example of illuminating moment? We have to